Well, good evening, everyone. We apologize for the issue with getting in. Not sure what happened to the links. We're still learning as far as the website goes and how that all works when we do a virtual meeting. So, but thanks for hanging in there. For those who don't know, I'm Dan Greenleaf. I've been a Santa for 18 years and I'm up in the New Hampshire area. So we've got a number of folks on that have done some summer or off-season stuff. And we're gonna have them chime in at times. So what I would like to do is, if you have done some kind of off-season work, can you just do a quick, like, I did a campground and they had me do photos with kids and read a story, and then we kind of toured around. And I got that from them directly. They contacted me. So just we don't want your whole story of what you did there, but just a quick, I did this kind of summer work, and where did you find it? And you can do, if you've got 2 or 3 or 4, go ahead and tell us each of them. So who would like to start?
I can start if you want.
Sure.
So Brian Marvel here. I'm based out of Massachusetts, Saugus area.
Okay. I'm going to stop you for a minute, Brian. Yep. Since for some reason I'm everybody. If you have the name Dan Greenleaf, if you go to the top right of your photo and click on the little 3 dots, you can change your name to who you are, really. Just says rename.
See if you can switch to somebody else. I'll see if I can fix mine.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead. You go ahead and do that. Talk about your stuff, summer stuff.
So most of my summer stuff have been birthday parties and corporate events. The birthday parties, most of those came through Gig Salad. They're Gig Salad or Bash. And the corporate event came from a client that I do on Christmas Eve. It was her company, and she contacted me to participate in their corporate event. And that's been 2 years running now. So, it was just a springboard from a previous client. And those are the two big events that I've been doing.
All right. Anybody else? Ernie, you do some off-season stuff. Unmute. Don't forget to unmute.
Yeah. All right. There we go. Hey, everybody. Yeah, I do a couple of events. I've done birthday parties in March. I do some summertime events. I have a campground coming up. I also do for the Greater Lakes Region Children's Auction, Christmas in July up on Lake Winnipesaukee to help raise money for the area community up there for families in need. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And
Ernie, you've done that for a few years now.
Yeah, I think this will be my third year this year, going back and doing that. I do the summer event, and I also go back and do their family night meet and greet with Santa in December. So that's a lot of fun as well. A lot of networking, a lot of talking to business owners and things like that. So it's a good way to get yourself out there.
All right. Who else has done off-season work? Terry, go ahead.
You got it?
We had gone to a Santa supper, and of course we were dressed, and we stopped for ice cream one night, and one of the ice cream places, and the guy got talking to us, and the next thing we know, we are now doing a Christmas in July. It's our third season coming up for them. So we checked out some of the ice cream shops in the area, and we're doing some work for them. We've got a couple of birthday parties, and of course we do the special needs picnic in Warwick, Rhode Island in the summer, which was a lot of fun last year.
Yep. All
So our
right.
camp outfits do, going to a supper, actually do work.
Anybody else?
Sure. The alpaca farm brought me in last year for Christmas in July for two dates. And for that, I ordered up, which we probably can't do anymore, but I had ordered up a nice baseball themed shirt, customized for me, red shorts and a baseball cap. And I, put a snowflake on the hat, ironed that on, and spent 2 days there. And that was a lot of fun. That
Great.
would be the best one. Customer brought me in.
Diana, you want to talk about the summer stuff that you've been involved with? Unmute yourself.
We've done a birthday party. We go to Yogi Bear's Jellystone Campground twice on 2 different weekends. A similar story to Terry's, but we haven't gotten a gig out of it. We stop at Lone Oak Ice Cream and they sent us a gift certificate at the end of the season because we took pictures with them, which they posted on Facebook. We do ball games, which is related to Christmas in July. We've done, well, we did a thing at Lake Compounce with the Connecticut Santas.
That's good. Who else has done summer things? Go ahead, Nick. Unmute yourself first.
I'm usually, I don't want to say I'm busy all year round, but I'm fairly busy. I have a monthly event that I do with the Upstate Autism Alliance, and that's actually really been very fruitful for me, and not money wise, but as far as all of these kids get to, well, now they're acclimated to me and they have no problem coming to get pictures with Santa. So for all these families that have had issues over the years, it's fantastic. So I do that every month. About every other month, I'll read at our local library here as Santa as well. I do pet events, and believe it or not, pet parents want to get their pictures with Santa, and so I offer that, and I do that. And it actually, for me, it's free, but it's not, because I get a lot of networking out of that, and so like I get a lot of business from getting that done. So there's 2 events. There's Pet Fest and Petapalooza, which is really big here. I've done the odd birthday party here and there as Santa. My July weekends are already booked, and I also have Saratoga Racetrack is the horse racing track here in Saratoga Springs, and they have actually hired me. This will be my 3rd or 4th year now for them to do their July event as well. Most of my stuff is done through my website.
Yeah. Good. Who else? Anybody?
Hey Nick, what did you wear during your gigs? Did you change up at
Cliff, let's hold off on that, okay?
All right.
All right, because we'll get into that a little bit. Only because since we started late and we've got a lot to do, we'll hold off. One other, just other off-season things I've done, and you may not have, you may have done some of this, but you just didn't think of it because it's not an event. But I've done a couple of commercials. In fact, she and I both did one. It was kind of starting to get into the season. It was like beginning of November. I've done a photo shoot for Working Gear, which was done in July. It was just a photo shoot modeling their clothes. I did a graduation party for a kindergarten, preschool, private school. And I'm sure there's others too, but those are just sort of some other ones that I've done. Oh, I do a boat club for their end of the year party in November on Labor Day. I go and they have a big party, and since they don't have a Christmas party, they do it then. Anybody else done any? All right, I'm gonna share this for us to give us. All right. Can you see that? All right. Okay. All right. So we're gonna quickly go through just some ideas for off-season work. But what we're also going to do is talk a little bit about some marketing strategies and then a little bit on admin, which would also relate to the regular season as well. So some of you may already be doing this stuff, but we figured it'd be helpful if we just touch on it again. So obviously Christmas in July is a more common thing that happens. A lot of the campgrounds, I guess up in Canada, it's a huge thing. And all the campgrounds do big Christmas in July. And then a few youth camps and programs will do it. Obviously, there are the opportunities for community recreation programs. We've talked about a number of sporting events, a number of the ball teams do Christmas in July. And one of the things I've been seeing a lot more is businesses are keying in on Christmas in July to run sales or do business promotions. And I think it's one area we can really get into. Now, for those who aren't aware of Leon, that's Noel spelled backwards. And it's the halfway to Christmas. It's June 25th versus July 25th in Christmas in July. So some of this is just to think about what other opportunities are out there for us. And certainly there's other holiday festivals and celebrations. There's 4th of July, of course. Here in New Hampshire, we have Old Home Day, which is like those small communities have a parade and they have activities and things going on during the day, which might give us some opportunities. Certainly other community events that go on. You know, there are Renaissance fairs that are happening that you may be able to key in on as St. Nicholas or even as Santa. Other holidays, of course, May Day, Patriots Day, Labor Day, Halloween. We did talk about Memorial Days in there, but probably not as appropriate in most cases, depending on what the town does for Memorial Day. If they have like booths all over the place and things like that, then, you know, it might be an opportunity for Santa. Business expos, and then like flea markets and farmers markets and those kinds of things. So if you think about stuff like that that happens around you, those may be opportunities for you. Mentioned graduation or end of the program celebrations. You know, just, and it doesn't have to just be schools, but it could be like a dance studio or martial arts or youth sports team at the end of the season. You know, other programs like that that may have opportunities where Santa can come in and help celebrate. And then we've talked about birthday parties. Now, Brian didn't mention it, but he did a wedding one summer. You want to just tell us about that wedding you did? He actually, you know, performed it. I'll have to unmute. You with us, Brian? I know he's driving.
Okay, we're on.
All right.
Yeah, the wedding was actually in October. Uniquely enough, but we came through as a Facebook, right? Or was it gig? I think it was gig. Gig salad request. A lady was looking to have her 2 children, wanted to marry their elf on the shelves.
Oh, right, yeah.
So naturally reached out to her, said we could absolutely do that. It's a new twist. She thought it was kind of crazy and corny. But you know, her children were dead set on the idea. So we went over and spent probably about 45 minutes out in Framingham, marrying two elves on the shelf with a full written ceremony, complete with serving of the cake afterwards. So it was a huge success, and very unique situation. Can't say I've had one since, but would certainly do it again. It was a lot of fun.
All right. That's one of those, it's like, oh, I wish I had got that one. I have done a proposal one time, but that was kind of in season. A lot of companies have employee picnics or parties in the summers. Of course, there's also the opportunity for story time or cooking and crafts with Santa or Mrs. Claus or elves that you could maybe work out something with local businesses or the library or that type of thing. Now these are kind of the typical events. Are there any others that you think of that we missed here that are sort of typical off-season events that we should add to the list?
Well, in Wakefield, we did a Meet Santa and Mrs. Claus event to benefit the local food pantry. And it was a great setup and everything. And we had 3 people from the food pantry show up and another guy.
Yeah.
We did give $400, over $400 to the food pantry because I got really good raffle items from local businesses, and we had a good time.
Yeah.
And I think that if it was promoted more widely with our local members, it would have been just a really big hit.
And there's
Right,
really
Tom?
no reason that as an individual, you couldn't do that kind of thing as well.
Yes, as a, promoted as a fundraiser
Yeah,
for a local insert whatever.
right. Any other thoughts of kind of typical events you could do?
Ribbon cut.
Actually, should I go?
Yeah.
Okay. We did one this year. It was actually a Christmas one, but many times weddings will have a morning after party where everybody just gets together and wishes the bride and groom well. And we were hired to do one of those and hand out little gifts that I don't know, the parents or whoever had bought to all the people. And that could happen anytime during the year. And that was kind of fun.
All right. Any others?
Brian did also a corporate event for a local grocery chain who was having a summer event in Austin for the shop. What is it called? Christmas in Austin event. And a company promotion. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And if
so
we
go ahead.
There is a Mrs. Claus on Facebook that some of you ladies may know if you follow her thing, Kimmy Claus. She sets up at farmers markets every weekend all summer, and she has a little booth of her own, and she plays little games and gives out little things, but she gets gigs from it, and people have invited her to be on the radio, and it gives her a lot of exposure. They don't obviously pay her to do it, but it's reaped benefits for her in clients and things like that.
So we didn't sort of talk about that at the beginning, but obviously not all of these are necessarily money makers. But what I really want to do is give you an idea of all the opportunities that are out there. And especially if you're just want to get out there and keep your Santa vibe going throughout the year, even if you donate your services or just show up to events, that may be all you want to do. So.
And I joined my local Chamber of Commerce, and I did their trunk or treat dressed as Mrs. Claus with a fireplace with a little fire going on. The kids thought that was fabulous. And I didn't get any work out of it, but next year I'm planning on doing it a little bit differently so that they better hire me.
Okay. So one of the things that to also think about is you can create your own events. You know, you can just come up with some ideas and set it up yourself, either in, you know, partner with a company or that type of thing. Don't wait for them to come to you. Find a way to get clients, you know, help the client find a reason to use you in their regular activities. And you've heard, I'm sure a lot of you have heard this before, but we have to be the experts on what Santa and Mrs. Claus and the elves can do. And so if you come to them and say, hey, Christmas in July is coming up, how about if Santa comes in and does XYZ? Or Mrs. Claus is going to come in and we'll do photos and, you know, read a story and have a little tea with all the kids. So that we need to be much more proactive of going out there and starting to get people to think about us for the whole year. So here are just some that we came up with. You know, certainly personal appearances, that any kind of business or event, to just arrange to be there as Santa, and just people can take photos. It doesn't have to be all about you. You can just be there to do personal appearances. I know some Santas work with photographers and they actually set up summer Santa photo sessions, like at the beach. And Brian, I know you've done some of those. And you know, again, it's photos and Santa, and it's at an odd time of year, so they're kind of cool, different things you can do. Certainly with pet photos or activities like Nick talked about. You know, you could set up some kind of fun and games with the Clauses, whether it's at an existing event or, you know, team up with a group that has a bunch of kids, whether it's like, you know, a preschool or a karate studio or any of those kinds of things. You could come up with a variety of theme presentations, maybe do a session on, you know, reindeer or elf, or the elf, or North Pole. And it could be even adult programs that you go into, like a library or the Rotary Club, or, you know, all these service groups, they have their lunches, and they're always looking for programs. And even in the off season, you could be out there doing that. And especially if you gear it so it's not just, oh, here's what we do at Christmas, but to kind of give some backstory or some history or those kinds of things. You know, it'd be worth contacting local amusement parks or other attractions or activities to see if there's a place you can come and do some events, either on a regular basis or just a one-time thing. Again, like, a lot of places don't think about Christmas in July or halfway to Christmas. And those would be times you could go in and really, you know, pitch the idea to them as a way to bring in more people to their activity. Somebody, Diana, you may remember, somebody does an elf school where they actually, they have an event and it's an elf school and all the kids come and learn to be elves. Have a number of activities and stuff they do. You know, tea party.
Steam Train offers that, but during the Christmas season.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not an off-season event.
Yeah.
But don't forget, was it Sprint a couple years ago? Panicked and needed Santas at 2 o'clock on the third Saturday of July at every Sprint location.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
And they were so well planned that when I got to my location, but of course they want them all at the same time on the same day. But when I got to my location, they had a kiddie pool. They had gallons of fake snow mixed up, and it was photos with Santa. but they just didn't think to look for a Santa beforehand.
You made me,
And Dan, I think you probably booked people in for that as well.
I think so. But you made me think of a snowball fight, like with the fake, like I know Susan uses the snowballs in her events and stuff. It's like, oh, maybe we could have a great big snowball fight somewhere. Diana came up with this one, and that's, a lot of the tree farms, you can come in early and tag your tree. And then you cut it down when the season comes around. Wouldn't it be cool to go out and tag your tree with Santa or Mrs. Claus or the two of them or an elf? Certainly if you have the talents and you did music or stories or magic performances as Santa, and again, there are other events where they're doing those kinds of things. And if you just do it, you're Santa, but it's more about the performance itself. Obviously face painting and crafts, those kinds of things, if you've got those skills. And then of course there are those opportunities you can go as other characters, even though that's not really what we're trying to address today. But Chip does a pirate, I've done a wizard and done magic, Mother Goose, Tooth Fairy, princess, superhero. There's other ways you could take the skills you do as Santa and get out there in the public. And certainly you can still promote your Santa activities.
I'm still working on the Tooth Fairy outfit. They ain't coming together too well.
Yeah. Any other like events or things you could set up and do yourself? Any other ideas?
Yeah,
Not
well,
that you can
we
do
have a,
yourself, but I've had ribbon cuttings off season as Santa for there's a couple local grocery stores that did rebranding, or not rebranding, but they redid the store, so they had ribbon cuttings and that, and they wanted a Santa there.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
And then car shows, believe it or not, car shows.
that's a good thought.
That's a good.
Yeah, we have a porch fest in here in Wakefield, and I think that that's growing more and more. And I did go to one of the houses as Mrs. Claus with my car that says Mrs. Claus all over it.
Yeah.
So I didn't get anything out of it, but
Yeah.
you never know.
I mean, any of those kind of events, even if you're just there as as a part of the audience, but you're dressed so that they know you're Santa or Mrs. Claus, and you have your cards with you, and how it is. The kids are always, oh, it's Santa, Again, a lot of that can just be exposure for yourself.
It's also
Dan,
about,
was it? Oh,
it's about what you're wearing, because I unintentionally wore my LL Bean bright red chamois shirt when I went shopping at Stu Leonard's. And the manager kind of came right over to me and said, Santa? I'm looking for a Santa for this season. And I'm like, okay, what was the giveaway? I'm wearing green Crocs. So if you go out kind of dressed, you don't have to be full blown undercover Santa. People gravitate to that.
Dan, one of the events that I actually do as well is at the Nashua Airport. It's an event called Wheels and Wings, where they have all the different aircraft and DPW, police department, fire trucks and things. I actually talked in my boss into allowing me to be Santa driving the city bus. So I do that event. I've done that 2 years, and more than likely I'll do that again this year.
Good idea. And it made me think of Take Back the Night. A lot of these towns do a thing with the police department, and just like you're saying, they bring in the fire trucks and all that kind of thing. It'd be a great thing to get teamed up with, to have Santa there as well. All right. So I'm sure we'll have others. Diana, did you have one you were going to mention?
I was gonna say the Take Back the Night, and not only did we meet a lot of kids, but I think that was how we got Mark Nozell involved, wasn't it?
That was not Take Back the Night. It was like a community business open, a show that the businesses did. So you may want to keep an eye out for like chambers of commerce and other business organizations that often will have like a, whatever you want to call it, an open house where all the companies come in and set up, and then folks can come in and see it. The Manchester Chamber does a big thing for all the businesses, kind of late fall, and so at one point I had a booth there, and then when they tripled the price, I just went dressed as Santa and went around and did photos with all the people who were there, all the vendors. And that would be for holiday fairs too. That could be or holiday fairs or craft fairs that, you just show up kind of dressed up as Santa and go around and offer to have photos with the vendors that they can use for promotional purposes and stuff.
Yeah,
All right,
we
let's,
encourage them to put
yeah.
up a sign that says even Santa shops with us. We've done a
Yeah,
few craft shows and the following year gone back and saw our picture with the owner of the booth, and sure
Yeah.
enough, they said even Santa shops with us.
Yeah, good idea. Excellent. All
And
right.
Dan, Chad had written in the chat, neighborhood events, like if you're having a neighborhood block party.
Yeah.
So just put that on the list.
All right. So, we've been focusing kind of on the event type of things. So again, here's some of the other things to be thinking about, that if it's something you feel comfortable doing or would be interested in doing, but like commercials, well, actually I did another one this summer. I forgot. I'm not sure it ever happened, but I did film it. I got paid for it. But probably the place you want to go to if you're looking to try to get into commercials are the ad agencies, because they're usually the ones who are going to be deciding, oh, we want Santa in this ad, whether it's photo ads or video or even just short clips to put on social media. So the ad agencies, if you were to do some research and find out who the ad agencies are in your area who do that kind of thing. And also the other one for photos, like photo modeling or things like that, are commercial photographers, those who specialize in advertising photography, and get your information to them so that if they're ever approached by an ad agency or a company that we want to do something for the Christmas season, it's in that photographer's mind that you're available to go do some photo work with them. There are those opportunities for short video promos for companies and organizations. And again, that's something we individually can make happen. Like if you have a business client, one of the things to offer to them is when you're there doing an event for them is to film some short promo pieces or have photos done that they can use to, like, just like Terry mentioned, Santa shops here, or, Santa's endorsing the cookies that we bake here. It's among his favorite, or those kinds of things. So you can do a short video, even on a cell phone, to promote that company, or any kind of company. Filmwork's another option, although unless you hit the big time and get in as an extra or something on a big production, you won't make a lot of work. Won't make a lot of money from it. But if you look at independent filmmakers, the place that I ended up getting a lot of work from was the schools in Boston that do film study. Both BU and Emerson Tufts University. They all had programs, and the students who are taking filmmaking have to make films. And so I'm listed on about 25 different short films that I was involved with. And the thing it did for me was made me aware of how film work happens, and you know, the things we have to know to do it right, as far as just how the shots go, and that they're going to shoot 5 or 6 times, and you know, you learn the terminology and stuff. And especially like working with the kids, you do get, because they're very serious about how they do it and the terminology and all that. And I just found it was fun. You know, sometimes it's very time consuming, and you spend a lot of hours and not even have anything produced in the end. But you know, I got some nice footage that I can use to promote and put out there for other people to see. You know, talk to your local television stations. Ernie did one this year. I know didn't go. It was kind of a mixed experience, but in one of the towns, their local cable or local television, he went in there and talked to kids and did photos and met with them and all kinds of things. Diana and I were interviewed by a little girl. I think she was about 8 years old on a show out of the Nashua thing years ago. And so there are those opportunities. I know the Manchester one does like Santa call-in program. Unfortunately, it's on this weekends in December. And again, you may not get any pay for it, but it can be really good exposure. Podcasts are big now. Get yourself on a podcast, and it doesn't have to be a Santa podcast. It could be anything, you know, any topic that somebody covers. A lot of times they just like talking to, I mean, you know how it is when you tell somebody you're a professional Santa and you go to school and all that, and they're like, what? I never knew that. And so it's an interesting topic for them to deal with.
Oh
The
yeah,
other,
I say I've been to Santa camp. Yes, it's a real thing.
yeah. And the other area with the media work, and this is an area we can all work on and should work on improving, because short videos are really becoming the way to promote yourself. And it's a way to demonstrate your skills and stuff. So, you know, social media, promo photos, memes, videos, certainly do it for yourself. But as I mentioned earlier, do it for your clients. You know, even if you put them up just on your site, but usually if you do some stuff and give it to them, they'll put it up on theirs and use it. So it gives, again, exposure, but you could also include this as part of your package. Like, I'm going to go in and do this promo in a store. I'm going to be there for photos with Santa. And while I'm there, I'm going to film some videos for them and do some still photos that they can use for promotional work. And you could add that to the service you're going to provide. And if you're going to do a lot of it, you could probably get some more money out of them. But if nothing else, it's giving them more bang for their buck, and they're going to appreciate the fact that you've taken the time to do it. The other thing that a lot of folks are doing now, it kind of came about because of COVID, but the being live on Facebook or the TikTok, those kinds of things, Facebook Live, Zoom, and doing reels and stuff. And you could do storytelling, sing-alongs, you know, how to stay on the nice list. You could do stories about the reindeer or the North Pole and do it on a regular basis throughout the year and create kind of a following of parents and kids who are going to come in and tune into those things. And of course, once you've done them, you can leave them on your site that people can go back and see later. And so they're always there for people to see. And again, it's a great way to show your ability, your talent as Santa and a performer.
Chad,
And
Chad Chad would like to share something.
go ahead.
Hey, yeah, no, this is great. So in this off season, particularly, I have really leveraged using social media. So I set up a little area in my basement and green screen, and I have some video production background a little bit.
Yeah.
So I started doing like answering kids questions as if they were writing a letter to Santa. Like, dear Santa, I was wondering, dot, 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 do the
Yeah.
elves play? Some of the questions that kids have asked me are really funny. Um, do the elves play pranks on you? Last year there was a child who asked me if the North Pole um, agrees with or believes in shoot, I'm drawing a blank. Capitalism. That's what it
Oh,
is. Yeah. I think they were about 7 or 8 years old, and their mother was mortified when she heard her child asking me that question. So I put a link. I know I just wanted to share with you guys. I put a link in the chat with my link tree. So I've put stuff on YouTube, TikTok, mostly Instagram. But that's just some of the things that if you want to take a look, whatever, and just see
yeah.
kind of what I've done. It does take a lot of work to make videos. I've done stuff. I've made videos with my Chihuahua. She's been in some of the videos I've made. I contacted our mayor uh in January and just said, hey, like, would you be interested in having, meeting with Santa and having a little fun chat? And the mayor's office got, sorry, speaking of dogs, there they are. Yeah, anyways, the mayor's office got back to me and said, yes, he would love to do that, which I wasn't expecting that. So I went down to City Hall and yeah, we had a little chat. It was a lot of fun, and that video is on YouTube as well. So just little things like that. Going back, you guys have talked about the Chamber of Commerce a bit. So what I did last year in our city in Barrie, I'm in Ontario, I volunteered my time. They have a monthly gathering, and I volunteered my time to show up at their December meeting. And it was a big social time, and they had live entertainment. And yeah, I showed up. I was there for about an hour and a half, and I helped out with judging some of the contests that they were having and that sort of stuff. So it was neat because I got to walk around and meet a lot of different businesses and that kind of thing. So some good networking. As we're talking, I'm thinking I'll probably get a hold of them for their June meeting, halfway to Christmas, and see if I can do something with them there. So I just wanted to share a little bit about some things that I've been doing in the off season. So yeah.
Are your videos, do you do any live stuff online or do you just do recordings?
Just recordings right now. I haven't done any live stuff. Thinking about maybe doing some live stuff this season coming up, just once in a while kind of thing. Maybe reading a story or like ask Santa anything session, which
Right. Yeah.
that could go well or that could go very badly. Yes. Yeah.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah, no trouble. Thank you.
Sure. So okay, so now we're talking about personalized virtual home visits or videos. I mean, there's, again, back in COVID times, we were doing this because we had to, but there's no reason you couldn't do like recorded birthday wishes or anniversary. One of my thoughts was to send a video to the husband and say, don't forget your anniversary's coming up. And I know your wife would really like such and so. um, Valentine Day hug message, marriage congratulations, graduation, well done messages, off to college, starting a new job. And you can certainly, if those are familiar with Cameo, you could kind of do that kind of thing, that you could do these little recordings and send a message that the family asks you, talk about this to them, and just record those. The other thing that I think some of us do is when you're in, like, I find it especially like adult parties, and you go around and you try to talk with folks, and it's like, sometimes hard to interact. And I always say, do you have some kids you'd like me to send a message to? And I've had women, I had a woman one time, it's like, yeah, I've got two. I've my son and daughter. And I did one for both of them. Well, one was 44 and the other was 38 or something. But, she loved it, and it was just a fun thing to do. And of course, you could also do FaceTime with them. I think probably a lot of us have done that, where somebody will say, oh, my kids are going to be so excited, so mad they didn't see you. And it's like, wow, we could do a FaceTime, or we can do a video, and a video Elfie type of thing. So it again, and you could kind of set up an offer to do these things at a fee. I used to offer autographed photos with Santa, and I sold a ton of them through eBay. But you could certainly do the similar thing and just advertise it on your Facebook page or your web page. And again, think in terms of all these things that aren't during the Christmas season, when you're going to be too busy to do. You can do it in the off season. And then just the idea of thinking about other services you could offer to parents or teachers, coaches, managers, employers. Again, I don't know if anybody's seen the app where parent can call Santa, and it's a pre-recorded thing, but then it's like, Johnny's not behaving himself, that kind of thing. Just that threat of calling Santa. But certainly you could do personal virtual visits. You could do video messages, reminder to be good. There was Susan Mesco had a thing she did one time, which I thought was a great idea. And it was a system for the kids to keep track of being nice all through the year. And it was set up so that they would fill it out, and then they would send it in, virtual, like by email or whatever, the report card each month or each week, and they would get a little gift for doing that. Because for her, it was a way to market her booking agency and try to get those families to actually bring Santa in live. So those are just some other things. If you have any other ideas or things like that, just why don't you toss them in the chat so we can plug along here. All right. So one of the questions I know folks will have is on pricing your services. And it's kind of up to you. I mean, a lot of things that'll come along, there may not be a budget for it. They may not want to pay for your services. When I do off-season stuff, I discount my regular rates. I think it's 15%. But also, if it's like in the heart of the summer and I've got nothing else happening, if you can make some money and have more exposure and have a fun time doing it, lowering your rates isn't a bad thing. It may be a case that you, like I was saying about being creative, one of the things I'm thinking about for like youth summer camps is to actually come in with sort of a package of Christmas in the summer, or it could be maybe an elf school we're gonna come in and we're gonna do these different activities. We can have stations, depending on how many people there are. We can work with staff to actually make it happen. And so you just create a price based on the whole package you're gonna offer them. The other option, if you're doing off-season stuff for your existing clients, might be to say, you know, since we're working together anyhow, for the summer, I'll do this for you for, you know, a fraction of what they would pay. Or you may be able to kind of do a package where you do a discounted rate for the off season, and then get it so you're booking your regular rates in the in season. So you're making something off it, and you're doing more than one event for your client. I think that if you can get in a situation where you're doing more than one event, you're gonna, you know, it'll be a benefit to build rapport with that client. Any other thoughts on, and a lot of us do, you know, volunteer stuff as well, but any other thoughts on charging, or, you know, what do you do for your pricing, that kind of thing?
Hey, Dan, this is Nick.
Yeah.
I've had luck with when they're on the fence and they don't have a budget and they're not sure what they want to do. This is exactly what I do. Especially in off-season events, I'll tell you what, I'm going to do this event for you for nothing. And if you feel that it's of good value and you have a great time and all of your people that come are having a great time, then next year you pay my rate. And then I've gotten all of my campgrounds have been done that way. Well, no, not all of them, only the first one. And then by the time that the people were asking around, who do you guys use as Santa? Who do you guys use as Santa? That's how I got all the rest of the campgrounds.
Yeah. Yeah. Great idea.
To that point, Dan, yes, the summer corporate event that I've done, I did discount that down because, you know, she was a client in season. So it helped sell that option there. And then the second point I wanted to make for off-season rates, if I'm in summer Santa attire, it is a discounted rate. However, if they were to want full suit, because we never know what the temperatures are going to be, it is full rate in the summer for full suit Santa, because the suit's going to need to be cleaned. Plus, it's going to be very hot on myself as well. So I offer it that way for my off season for summer.
Yeah. Nice. Anybody else? And you know me, my attitude is, how much should I charge? My answer is always more. All right. So let's talk a little bit about marketing. And this is where we're getting into the area of, this is what you're going to do for your regular season too. So this is a great time to do your marketing plan, because you can hit the off-season stuff, but this is also when you want to really start thinking about the coming season. So I'm going to do a real quick, you know, creating a marketing plan. First of all, set some goals. And when I say goals, in my book, it's the blue sky, the dreaming things. You know, I want to be the best known Santa in North America, and, you know, do so many events. I'm busy every single day, and those kinds of things. But one area to think about is, you know, why do you want to do the off-season work? You know, is it that you're trying to build your reputation? Are you trying to make money? Are you looking just to have other opportunities to develop your skills? Is it a way to attract clients to the in-season work? I mean, we've already kind of touched on these things as people have shared, or there may be other reasons you want to do it. that you look really good in a bathing suit. And so you want to get out there, not all covered up in fur. So think about those goals first, and then also decide what events or activities do you really want to do most. You know, there's so much out there. I mean, we just had 4 pages of activities you can do. Don't try to plan to do all, you know, don't focus on all of them. Pick 2 or 3 that you really want to do, the types of events you want to do, maybe the clients you want to work with, and focus on those activities and make your marketing plan directly related to them. Now, you're going to pick up other clients and other activities just because you're out there. But for your marketing plan, really decide, okay, these are the, you know, the 3 events I want to do, and these are the clients I want to work with, whether it's, you know, nonprofits or it's corporate clients, or I want to do the campgrounds. So once you've got those 2 or 3 primary activities, then you want to think about, okay, who are the target audiences I want to go after? So if you decide you want to do video promo pieces and more video work, and you think, well, do I want to do that for nonprofits? Do I want to do it for small businesses? Do I want to do it for corporations? Do I want to find people like ad agencies who will do those things? But again, don't try to hit everybody. Even though everybody might be able to use your service, focus on those 2 or 3 primary target audiences that you're going to aim your activities at. I think this is one of the faults that a lot of people, or troubles a lot of people have, is they try to do everybody and everything. And you can't, you don't have the resources to do that, and everything gets watered down. So think about the target audiences. One of the things, you know, you can go on and on about target audiences and creating an avatar and figuring out what's going to motivate them. What are the things that are going to prevent them from hiring you? And, you know, really analyze those targets. But we don't have time to do that in today's session. But it's one area to really look at, is who are those people? And I'd also say, not only who are the groups or the organizations, but who are the people within those that are the decision makers. That's the key thing, is who's going to make the decision about if you get hired or not. For each of those target audiences, set some specific objectives. And this is where I differentiate goals and objectives. Goals are kind of dreaming. Objectives are attainable, they're specific, they're measurable, and you have a timeline on them, so that, you know, and I'm gonna send out email flyer to the campgrounds in New Hampshire, and I'm gonna hope I can, you know, book 10 events from that, and I'm going to keep track of them and then assess it at the end, if was I hire 10 or not. And I'm going to do that within the next month. So be really specific on those objectives, and again, have a timetable and also a way to evaluate it afterwards. And then once you know what your objectives are, you decide what activities or tools or strategies will help you reach them. And a couple of key points: select the things that are going to have the most direct and focused contact with the people who make the decisions. So, you know, instead of sending an email out to every person in the organization, you want to figure out who the person is, and the most direct contact would be face to face or on the phone. But if you can't get that done, then a letter. directly to them, or, you know, even in the mail versus an email. But find the people that you need to reach to make the decisions, and don't waste your time just sending out bulk mailings to, oh, the manager of this store. And again, you want to focus which stores you want to go after, not everyone. And then, so, I mean, are there things that you have found that work well? What methods have you used for contacting and persuading your targets to hire you? Anybody? Any good suggestions? All right, we'll keep going. And the other thing is evaluate the results of your efforts so that you know what worked, what didn't, and what you need to change. Then we get into kind of the administrative part of it. And again, this is for regular season as well. You know, once you had a commitment to do the event, be sure to clarify and confirm the details. So, you know, a lot of times you talk on the phone and you're back and forth and you're going all these things. Before you send out the final contract, you probably want to send an email and just say, okay, so thanks for talking the other day. Here's what I've got that you'd like done, and this is what it's going to cost, and just wanted to make sure I got everything correct. And then let them confirm or make changes. And then that's when you send out the contract with all those details, as well as other conditions and, you know, all the other legalese that's in those contracts. Now, part of that, and then as part of that, I send out an invoice showing the services that are provided, the hours, and then the total amount, and then what the payment plan is. So that my policy is that I get a retainer of half the total usually. If it's a really big multiple day event, I'll often break it into 3 payments or something like that. But you know, for me, the retainer is a way to confirm everything. And you know, I've missed 2 events in my time as Santa that in the you know, I'm driving down the road to another event and I get a call, what time are you coming? Well, I tried for weeks to get a phone call answered, an email answered, or something confirming that they were still doing the events, and they never responded. And so I just assumed, oh, they changed their mind. Well, by having the signed contract, not the signed contract, but the retainer payment, now you know they're committed. You don't have to worry about them backing out, or if they do, you know, they lose that retainer because that is non-refundable. And you always want to call it a retainer, not a deposit, because a deposit implies it's for the actual service you're providing. And if you don't provide that service because they back out or whatever, they can ask for that money back. But by calling it a retainer, what the retainer is doing is saying, you are hiring me for this segment of time. You're paying me for me to put that time in the vault and not give it to anybody else. And with a retainer, it's non-refundable. I mean, they can come and say, well, I want my retainer back. But if your contract's clear and that's the statement is there's no refund, or, you know, you can always say it's refundable if you cancel within 2 months of the event or something like that. And then I like to get the balance before the event. I know a lot of Santas, and I've done this with some of my long-term clients, you know, they can pay me at the event. But in most cases, I like to get it out of the way so we don't forget about it. We don't have to go and nag the host to get paid. I just soon get it done earlier. And certainly with companies, If it's a home visit, it's a little different, but for companies, I want to get that ahead of time. Because sometimes, even though it says you're supposed to pay them before or at the date, it can take months sometimes to get it. So that's the system I use. I also recommend communicating by email with a client. I send my contracts that way, in the invoices, and then that way you've got a written record. When they write back and say, oh, I want to do it for 2 hours instead of 3, you now have a written record. And for both of your communications. And that way, if there's ever a question, you can pull up the emails and show them what you had agreed on. Especially if you kind of summarize your discussions on the phone and send it in an email, then again, if there's a problem, they can correct you. But if they don't do anything, it means, okay, I'm right. And then also communicating on the day of the event or before the event, make sure they know what is going on and what you're doing, and which door do you want them to come in, where the present's going to be, you know, all that stuff that we do for Christmas as a group. All right. So that's kind of the basic stuff we wanted to get across, but we're certainly open for other questions. I'm going to close this just so we can see each other instead of that. Thoughts, questions, suggestions. Oh, Cliff, you asked about what to wear when it's hot. Brian mentioned the same thing. I like the fact that he talked about, he charges more if he's going to be in his real suit. I think a lot depends on the client and what they want. I would definitely talk to them about what you're going to wear, maybe have photos you can show them. Most summer stuff, I think they're pretty pretty understanding to say, sure, you can wear your summer stuff. And it's certainly a lot more flexible. What for those of you who've done like off-season summer stuff, or what do you wear when you go out?
I posted up to stuff that I wear, but I have like a ton of Hawaiian shirts with red shorts and different shoes and Crocs, and it's all over the place. It runs the gambit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same way. Golf knickers, red or green, with Christmas stocks, some Crocs, or all kinds of different attire for different kinds of events. I've done an event up at Manchester Harley, so I was biker Santa, different things like that. So
nice.
Yeah, the same thing here. It's red shorts and different types of Hawaiian shirts or different shirts. I did wear the red and white striped swimsuit to an event because it was a foam party that was being held at a birthday party. So I knew I'd probably be involved in that in some way. So it was definitely a good thing that I did wear the swimsuit, because I ended up on the ground with the children all around, piling up in the foam as we were doing the event and the party. So it is key to know what you're having, and if you have pictures to show or to offer, then they have an idea of what you mean by, oh, I wear red shirts and Hawaiian shirts that has some Santa print on it. No, here's an example. So
yeah, something that Diana and I learned at the Santa family reunion that some of the Mrs. Clauses do is they go to CVS or Walgreens or wherever that does like the photo books, and the one that she had was only like maybe one of those 8x8s or whatever, pictures of her in all different outfits. So you could probably do one for in season and then one for off season, or even just combine the two so that they can see what kind of outfits you're talking about. see what you're capable of, kind of thing, you know, at least on print. So that's something you might want to think about and use that as part of your advertising when you're going around talking to different business owners or, you know, things like that.
Who else? Anybody else?
A good point that Janice made was, even if you have a website or a Facebook page, you can always direct people to that and say, "Oh, check out my page. You'll see all kinds of different pictures, you know, what the type of outfits, so on and so forth."
Yeah. And I think I'm the same way. I've got all kinds of Hawaiian shirts and shorts and knickers and stuff, but I try to get photos at least of the major changes. You know, maybe I don't have photos in shorts versus knickers for the shirts, but I try to get photos of myself in the summer casual. Now, I did actually have a summer suit made, but it's got shorts, short sleeve, it's lightweight material, and I've, in a couple of cases, you know, I've asked ahead of time, you know, is this okay to wear? But and one of them was the boat club. They always had me dress up in my regular suit. Well, it's, you know, Labor Day weekend, and sometimes it's a little warm. So the first year or two, I wore that suit, but then the next year I said, you know, I've got this summer Santa suit. It still looks like, I mean, it looks like Santa in his suit, but it's just lightweight and it's got shorts and stuff. And they said, oh yeah, that's fine. And, you know, had no complaints. I still wore boots and that type of thing, and the belt and the whole.
That suit have fur, Dan?
What's that?
Does that suit have fur?
It's fur, but it's, again, light. It's like a curly hair fur. I forget what it's supposed to mimic. Diana might know. I don't know.
I tell you, I fought wearing Crocs for a long time until last year. And I was having foot issues, and my wife's like, just try them. And I don't know how many pair I have now. And they're all Santa Crocs now. So
yeah, I have sneakers, I have Crocs, I have, you know, other like comfortable light shoes. I've got more Santa shoes than I have regular shoes. But you know, I think a lot just depends on the client. And I have had 2 clients that in the summer wanted me to wear full suits. One was an indoor event, and it was like one of those hot spells in July. And I talked to them, and the first time they talked to me, they said, oh, we want you to wear, you know, like a Hawaiian suit, maybe wear your pants and your boots. It's like, okay, fine. And then they said, no, we want you in your full suit. And so I had to go back to the car and change and get that on. But the reason they wanted me in full suit was it was a let it go, let it go. Okay, help me. What's the name of it?
Frozen.
Movie? Frozen. Thank you. Thank you. It was a Frozen theme party. It was like when it first came out. And they were actually had the temperature turned way down, and they were giving people mittens and scarves when they came in, because it was kind of that cold. It wasn't freezing, but it was cold. And so that's why they wanted me in the full suit. And then I had another woman doing a outdoor pool party, and she was really concerned that if I didn't have my real suit on, the kids wouldn't know I was Santa. Now, we all know that's not true, but I did come in my full suit and, you know, and sat in the shade as much as I could. And afterwards she thought, yeah, probably you didn't need to wear that suit. And that's another good reason, if you have photos and they can see that you're not just coming in with t-shirt on, or, you know, something just kind of dressed down with shorts and a t-shirt. That can be a way to convince them that, oh, this fine. That's a way to go. Other questions?
Yeah, hello. Yeah, my question is because I'm new, so I'm really
Yeah.
unprepared for this at this point. Where do I find a place to get a suit? And I'm assuming there needs to be time to have it made. So what resources are available for that?
Okay. Here's my suggestion is Planet Santa has a couple of really good suits that they offer. Their price is decent. It's if you catch them when they're on sale, they're one style is about $400, the other can be up to 500. But they're well-made suits, they're good looking. They're the burgundy type, which at least personally I think is better, or I prefer to the red. And the nice thing with them, they actually listen to Santas when they designed them. So they have flies in them. They're not pajama bottoms. They actually have flies. They have pockets in the pants. It's kind of reinforced buttons, and it's decent suit. That's what I use now as my go-to suit. I mean, I definitely have a nicer one that was custom made and that kind of thing. But just starting out, if you just get a good looking suit, that'll work for you. And then you can upgrade it with, you know, boots, and a lot of folks just get like motorcycle boots, engineer boots.
Yeah.
That's what I found works well, although they do have less expensive like boots, I'll call them theatrical boots. Some of the costume places have them, and they're $50 or so versus 100 for the others. 100, 150 for the engineer boots. Belts. I guess the point when you get a new suit, you kind of throw away the belt and you throw away the boot toppers because they're just cheap naga hide. They don't look great. You can get away with it for a while on the belt, at least for the Santa. The Santa's Planet Santa suits have kind of a big belt buckle, I mean, it's not a great one, but it's at least it looks better than the typical ones that come in some of these other suppliers.
But with
so-
boots,
What?
you want them to fit nicely. Because if you're going to be walking anywhere, you want to make sure that they're not terribly uncomfortable.
That's a plus right there, not being uncomfortable.
When I ordered my last set of boots, I went to Amazon and I found a number of, I think there were 4 different models, or 3. I think I found 3 that I liked and kind of matched what I was looking for. And I ordered them in 2 different sizes so that I could try them on and see because sizes sometimes are just way off. And I need a wide one. So I ordered them, and of course they do free returns. So it was a chance to try them on, see which ones fit best, and then return the others. And they even have a program that's called something like Try Them On, or I forget what it's called, but you can actually order a bunch of stuff, and then you have so long to return it, and once whatever you keep, you then pay for.
That sounds like it'll work. Yeah.
Any other suggestions from the rest of you guys and ladies? The suits?
No, I would start with Planet Santa. If this is your first year, they have, like you were saying, Dan, they have great suits.
Yeah. And the ones I would
That's
get
one of my
from
backup
them,
suits that I always have on me at all times.
Yeah.
So
they have a number of different suits, but the the specifically called Planet Santa Classic look or the Planet Santa Authentic look. One is the Coca-Cola style with the buttons. The other's got the fur down the front. But those two are made by them, or they arranged to have them made, and they're good suits. I mean, then later on when you do a lot of work and get rich, you can spend $4,000.
Yeah,
Actually,
Yeah,
I
I've
was
heard about that.
actually I was
suggest
in this,
getting your
I was
boots
at an
now.
event this week, and this woman I had do some work for me. I had a vest made and stuff, and I won a custom made vest from her in the raffle this year. So, but she had this beautiful suit with embroidery down the legs of the suit, and I said, just out of curiosity, what would that cost and to have made? And it was in the range of like $6,000 because of all the embroidery and all the crystals and stuff, you know, and what I was seeing there was a lot of suits, the really custom made complete suits are, you know, it's like 3 or 4,000 for custom made stuff.
yeah,
But
I
you don't
think.
need that route. You
I
really
think
don't.
Dan, you're right. It's all I guess it's about, you know, what your budget is, what you want to, you know, you have a budget in mind, you know, you can shop around and just look at different things.
Yeah.
And if you're finding another place that has a suit that you think looks good, pockets, pockets, pockets.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. And I actually take my suits once I get them to a seamstress, and I have pockets put in the sides of the jacket. They can adjust the fit if there's any problems. It used to be I would have them put in pockets in the pants and also put in a zipper. But if you get a basic suit, then as you start to do more and more events and you start doing fancier events, because that's it. I mean, I have another custom made suit, but I only wear it rarely. I wear it for parades and, you know, fancy events like that. I'm not going to wear it to the home parties and the typical stuff you do.
I would
The
get your
other
boots
thing is-
now and
Yeah.
and start wearing them. And that way you'll know they're comfortable. So yeah. And if they're close, they actually if they're leather, if they're close to your size and they're not comfortable, try the next set. And if that's too big, go back to the old set and they actually have leather stretcher that you can wear. But do it now because you're gonna want it broken in.
Yeah, aside from Planet Santa, is there any place like local, I mean, within the state or within a couple of states?
Where are you located, Peter?
Merrimack, New Hampshire.
Oh,
Oh.
Ernie, you can do your ad for your buddy down there.
Yeah, so I actually worked with a costume company. It's called Creative Costuming. They are out of Hudson, New Hampshire.
Okay.
It's not the cheapest suit, but it's not the highest end suit. They range at about $1,500
Which
custom
one did he
made,
say?
and that's custom made to your measurements.
Okay.
And I helped design the suit after, you know, as you go along through your Santa portrayal, you will learn what works and what doesn't work. What you want for indoor type of events, what you want for outdoor events.
And what you like for your look, your
Right, exactly.
specific look.
And you can always customize whatever type of suit you do get. You can customize and add your own twist to things, which I like to do quite a bit. But
Isn't that suit 3 suits in one? Doesn't like the fur removable?
yes,
Isn't it like, yeah, so that suit that he's talking about, it has like all kinds of different options.
Yeah.
You can remove the fur in certain areas and you can change it up. So it's actually pretty cool. I've seen it.
so you can get the Coca-Cola look, which is the buttons down the front. The front panel will remove, or you can put the traditional fur down the front.
Yeah.
It does come with a, you know, a belt, but I go with a real leather belt.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a decent suit for the mid, what I consider to be a mid-range suit. Like I said, not the highest end,
Yeah.
not the lowest, but you know, I would say in the middle, maybe a little bit more to the higher side, but it's done well, and you get the different looks from the same suit. You're going to get pants, jacket, hat. Um, I think they do give you boot toppers and a belt and so forth, but and they
They
do
still-
offer leather boots there as well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's a way to go early on, is to just go with those theatrical boots. Because they work fine, and especially when you're first starting out and you're not doing a lot of events, they'll hold up. But once I got busy, the boots wouldn't last
Nope.
the year. Just
Mm.
the old,
Yeah.
they would break, and not the sole, but the
The pleather.
leather, the leather
That makes sense. Yeah.
would crack, and
Yeah.
you know, and stuff. But certainly early on, those are a good choice, and you know, they're under, you know, $60-$70. So, and they have fur on them. The engineer boots, you have to get boot toppers, like boot cuffs, to go over them with.
If you like
Mhm.
fur.
Huh?
If you like the
If-
fur.
Right. The other thing is, I've often gone into, because they still carry other suits, right, Ernie? They just don't have Halco, or is he the one who bought Halco?
Yeah, no, actually, they do have other suits. I think I got a couple. I bought a robe from him. I want to say it was like $400.
Yeah.
You know, he does sell used suits, the ones that were rentals at a discounted price.
Yeah.
So you could always check into that option. You know, I actually have custom made puffy sleeve shirts made there, some vests. I go there quite a bit for a lot of different supplies, gloves. If I need to whiten, I need a little bit of extra whiten. I don't want to bleach. They get they carry Ben I, just a
Hey,
little bit.
you can order some of the new Ernie line that's coming out, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly.
But the other thing I've done is, with the Halco suits, is you could get them through Planet Santa a lot cheaper than you could down there in Hudson. But I would go in there and try on the suits, so I knew which
Mhm.
size to order. So, but it's a good place to go to, just to check things out, because they do have a good line of stuff, and you can get an idea of the different styles of suit, the color, the material. My suggestion is just don't get the plush suit,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which makes you
Yeah.
look like a stuffed animal.
Don't need that anymore.
Right? I mean, they're just puffy, and yeah. Terry,
Another
I
thing
think you
that-
had something you were going to mention.
Yeah, I did. One of the things that Tom and I discovered early on when we were first starting is you get a nice looking suit, but you accessorize. Like Rick Hillary out of Santa's One Stop Shop, he sells, and there are quite a few of them out there. He has a nice pin that says Santa or has an emblem on it. You put that on your hat, adds a little class to it. And a nice belt buckle, not the stuff you get, you know, the square things, but you can save up and get a nice belt buckle. It is amazing. Just those two accessories can give it that little extra quality.
Mm.
Even though it's not the most expensive in the world, the other people don't know that. They just say, wow, look at that, you know, and you can get away for a couple of years like that till you know, stockpile enough money to get a little more fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dress that I wear, I paid $84 for it, and it's a dress with a hood and a little cape thing. Oh my gosh. People think it's wonderful. Oh, you look so good. Well, I bought two more for $50 each, just because I know this one isn't going to last forever.
Yep.
You know, people love the look.
Yep.
So Cliff posted in the chat, it's really good if you've got two suits, because I carry a suit in my car in case maybe if I have an accident, which could happen, but you know, some child pees on you or throws up on you and you need to go change it. At least I've got it handy. But the other thing is there are a lot of suits that get sold. Like when I have a couple that I keep through the year, but then as they get older and I'm ready to upgrade, I'll sell those. And we have the tag sale at Santa Camp where people can bring in suits and anything and sell it. So it's a good place to get a backup suit. And that's worked out pretty well.
Lots of other stuff.
Another
Yeah.
good idea, Peter, is if you have a chance, and if I have a chance, when I'm on some of these different Santa pages, I can invite you to join, and I can't remember the names of, because I'm in so many different ones. But there's always somebody that will put something up for sale that's pretty decent quality at a decent price. So you can always keep your eye, like marketplace, and more specifically geared towards the Santa community and the Mrs. Claus community.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Yep. All right, it's getting on to that time. Any other comments, questions, advice? All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming. Sorry for the problem again, and we'll have to sincerely apologize for that didn't make it.
I'd just like to thank everybody for all of the excellent information and input. Also, as a new Santa getting into this, that's been extremely helpful.
Great. All right. We will see you soon, I hope, at some event. And don't forget Santa Camp's coming up.
Thanks,
Oh,
Dan.
yeah.
Spread the
Thank
word.
you.
Thank you.
Good seeing you, Ernie.
Good night.
Bye all.
Bye, Susan. Bye, Terry.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Right.